Hello beauties, welcome back to the channel. Thank you all for being here, and if you're new, welcome. If you don't know who I am, my name is Martha. You all know on this channel I talk about all things finding your purpose for women that's over the age of 50, because you know I'm at that big age of 60. Just all the things that women our age may deal with, go through, just life lessons, just all of the things. But the main thing that I like to focus on is just really finding your purpose. If you have not, and you at a certain age, and you're really looking to figure out what that is, I really focus hard on that. And I encourage and inspire women to just go for that. Go for what you want to do. So yeah. So if you think you may enjoy this type of content, please like, comment, and share the video. And most definitely, please subscribe to the channel. And do me a huge favor. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you will not miss out on any videos that I post. So let's dive into today's video. I am going to honor one of my subscribers. She wanted me to just, if I didn't mind sharing this part of my life on some of the life lessons that I actually learned when I was married, career-wise, having babies, etc. So I told her I didn't mind at all, because I believe in really being authentic and just really true to myself. And yeah, so let's dive into a little storytelling about Martha. So yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. When I first got married over 30 some odd years ago, of course, I didn't know anything about marriage, having babies, none of the things, because I didn't grow up really seeing anything positive in that area. And when I say I didn't see it positively in that area, because I didn't see it in my household growing up. My mom was a single parent. I did see it in relatives' household. I probably seen in about maybe 3 or 4 relatives that were married, and that I was always around to just really see. And I think when I seen how positive it was, that really made me want to share my life with someone else, So I knew I wanted to, of course, get married. I knew I wanted to have 2 babies, no more than that. And I think I wanted to just have 2 babies because my mother only had 2, my sister and myself. So I knew that much, but I did not know anything about being a wife, being a mother, all of the things that comes along with that. I didn't know anything about that. So when I met my husband at that time, over 30 some odd years ago, I had just came back to the South where I was born for college. I had transferred from one college to another college. So I met him in that particular state. We hit it off, and it went from there. We had a home. We had, of course, cars. We lived a pretty good life raising our babies. And some of the life lessons that I could talk about and say is, during that time in my marriage, I would have to say that by me not knowing anything about marriage, being a wife, I would say that I just learned as I went on. I just learned. I knew that I was a godly person and I wasn't doing anything wrong in these streets. I just went for what I knew, just to do good things and to, try to stay open-minded about things, and just doing the right things, I should say, But again, I didn't know anything about it, just being a good wife, really just taking care of the home the way it needed to be, just all of the things that go along with that. I didn't know anything about it. But like I said, I learned what I needed to do to, get through to the next level or whatnot. And I would say is another lesson that I would possibly say is that when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And when someone disrespects you, don't sit around and wait until the next time they disrespect you again. Do what you need to do. You know what's right. Just do what you need to do. Don't stick around for someone to keep disrespecting you in a way that you know that you do not deserve. So, I had some hard lessons that were thrown at me during that time of my marriage. And I dealt with it. I dealt with it, did the things I needed to do to just move on. And I would also say that another major lesson that I would possibly say is that when it come down to raising your children, and this is a hard lesson, you can instill everything right into that child. It's going to be up to that child to either do the right thing or do the wrong thing. Whatever good skills, whatever good communication, whatever good values you instilled into that child, if that child goes out there and do something completely different what you all have taught them to do, that's on them. Because if you know that you have done everything to instill into your children what is right, what is wrong, and if they decide to do something else, that is on them. You cannot blame yourself for something that you you instilled into your child. So that's a hard lesson for some people, because, we feel like we, as good parents, that you have done so much and shown your children which way to go, how to navigate life, right from wrong. And when they go out there and they do something that's wrong, it makes the parent feel like that they have failed the child. No, ma'am. No, sir. You have not failed. That was their decision to make and to do, So that's a lesson that I learned, and not saying that my children did anything that was just mind blowing. But sometimes you can be disappointed in your children when they decide not to do certain things or move a certain way and, all of the things, because if they decided, man, I don't want to go to college, and your expectations were for them to go to college, that's kind of disappointing, that they don't decide to go to college, so anything to that effect, anything that you pretty much so instilled into them and they decide to do something else, it's like it's a blow, but you have to just move on. Don't take the blame that you were not a good parent. Restating some of the lessons that I learned. You learn as you go, you just learn, you learn as you go. No one is an expert on it. When someone decides to get married or anything like that. So to me, that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned is just, at that time was to just learn as I go. I just learned what I needed to do and how to do it in that moment, and then also to, restating with, not taking the blame on when your children decide to go a different route. And I guess the biggest lesson that I can say that I really, truly, truly learned is that nothing is promised to you. Nothing's promised to you. And I think that if you are fine with that throughout your lifetime, nothing's promised to you, that whatever you decide to do with your life, how you move, how you do all the things, just set yourself up to be in a good place, in a good mindset where if anything do happen, you're still good. You still have your sanity. You still have your good sense, because nothing's promised to you. Nothing's promised to you. If you have a good mindset and you know that anything can happen, anything can arise, and it doesn't bring you down to the point where you just cannot function anymore, I think you're absolutely good. Because again, nothing is promised to us at all. Just have to have a good something about yourself inside of you, knowing that whatever happens, you will always be good. Absolutely. But that's what I wanted to just share, with you all, and, just giving you all a little bit more insight on what type of person I am. And so again, thank you all so much for giving me just a little bit of your time. And if you enjoyed this and if you can relate to it, please like, comment, and share the video. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.